Kai stepped onto the broad terrace of the Solari Palace. The ground beneath him shimmered like glass, and each step left a faint echo in the silent hall. He had trained for years to become a human envoy. Now he faced his first real test. The palace walls rose like crystal towers under twin suns. Strange patterns of light danced on every surface. Kai felt a tight knot in his chest. He had never seen such beauty before. At the far end of the hall, Solari guards stood at attention. Their armor gleamed in silver and green. Their eyes were calm and fixed. Kai bowed his head in respect as he walked past them. Beyond the guards, a raised dais held a single throne carved from purple crystal. On it sat Princess Lyra. Her hair was pale as moonlight and fell in smooth waves over her shoulders. Her skin had a soft, smooth sheen, unlike anything Kai had seen on Earth. But it was her eyes that drew him in. They were a deep violet, shining with quiet light. Looking into them felt like standing in a warm breeze on soft grass. Kai understood why so many tales spoke of her beauty. He carried a small gift, a glass sphere filled with pure water from Earth. Inside, tiny lights floated like fireflies. He hoped Lyra would accept it as a sign of respect and friendship. Kai approached the throne with steady steps. He knelt at its base, feeling the weight of the moment. He bowed his head and spoke in a clear voice. "Princess Lyra," he said, "I bring a gift from Earth. Please accept it as a token of respect." A guard moved forward and took the sphere. Kai kept his gaze on the princess. He saw her breath catch. For a heartbeat, she said nothing. Every person in the hall watched her. Then Lyra reached out. She held the globe in her delicate fingers and turned it slowly. The lights inside drifted and pulsed. A soft smile touched her lips, the first sign of warmth Kai had seen. He dared to raise his eyes again. In that moment, he felt hope. Maybe humans and Solari could build a true friendship. The hall was still as Lyra spoke. Her voice was soft but clear. "Thank you," she said. Her words carried a simple power that filled the space between them. Kai bowed once more, then rose to his feet. The first meeting was over, but its memory would stay with him. In that silent hall of crystal light, two worlds had touched, and a new story was about to begin. The grand dining hall of the Solari Palace glowed with soft light. Long tables of polished crystal ran down its center. Court musicians played gentle melodies on silver harps. Kai followed the line of human diplomats as they stepped forward one by one to greet Princess Lyra. At the head of the room, Lyra sat tall on her throne-like chair. Her violet eyes shone calmly as each envoy knelt before her. The palace air smelled faintly of spiced nectar and fresh flowers. Kai's heartbeat drummed in his ears, but he held his head high. When it was his turn, Kai stepped onto the raised platform. He wore a simple dark tunic and a ribbon of Earth's colors across his chest. He paused at the base of Lyra's dais, then bowed deeply. The polished floor reflected his form, and he felt the weight of every eye in the hall. "Princess Lyra," he said in a clear voice, "I bring greetings from Earth's council. We seek peace and friendship between our worlds." His words echoed softly amid the harps. Lyra's lips curved in a slight smile, and she inclined her head in acknowledgement. A Solari courtier handed Lyra the glass sphere from Earth. Kai watched as she turned it gently in her hand. The tiny lights drifted inside, casting dancing shadows on her calm face. She raised the sphere until it caught the light of the twin suns, then placed it on a low pedestal at her side. Next, Lyra spoke in her soft, melodic tone. Her voice filled the hall without strain. "We welcome your people," she said. "May our meeting bring new hope." Her words were simple but carried warmth. Kai felt relief wash over him. As Lyra spoke, Kai dared to look into her eyes. In their violet depths he saw kindness, curiosity, and a spark of something like wonder. He realized the stories of her grace were true. Every diplomat who followed him would see her rule with both strength and gentleness. After the formal greeting, Lyra waved one hand. Courtiers moved to pour sweet nectar and serve delicate fruit. Kai remained on the platform, grateful for the chance to stand beside her, even briefly. He bowed once more before stepping back into the line. When Kai reached the end, he met the eyes of his fellow envoys. Their faces showed respect and pride. He breathed deeply, steadying himself for what came next. The formal greeting was over, but Kai knew the real journey had only begun. In that hall of light and music, two worlds opened to each other with a simple, shared moment of respect. The palace banquet hall gleamed in soft light. Long tables curved around a central stage, each covered with white cloth and simple silver dishes. Servants moved quietly, carrying platters of fruit and pitchers of spiced tea. The air smelled warm, with cinnamon and starflower petals mixed in. Princess Lyra sat on a raised seat at the center table. Her violet eyes reflected the flicker of small lamps set around the room. She wore a flowing robe of pale blue that fell like water over her shoulders. Courtiers and diplomats from many worlds filled the seats on either side of her. Their voices rose in polite chatter as they tasted the food before them. Kai joined the group of human envoys. He felt the soft hum of conversation all around him. Each envoy passed a dish to Princess Lyra in turn, offering fruit that looked almost like pearls and tea that steamed in thin ribbons. When it was Kai's turn, he stepped forward with steady steps. He offered Lyra a cup of tea in a smooth white vessel. As he held it to her, their eyes met. The violet of her eyes seemed to glow with quiet light. For a moment, Kai's heart beat faster than ever before. Lyra took the cup with a gentle nod. She sipped the tea and closed her eyes, as if savoring the taste. Soft music rose from the stage, where dancers moved in slow patterns. The hall felt peaceful. Kai stood back at his place, but his mind stayed with Lyra's eyes. He remembered his training to speak with respect and care. Then something in his heart told him to speak true words, even if they were not part of any protocol. Kai rose from his seat. Courtiers paused their conversation to watch him. He walked forward with calm steps, carrying only his own courage. He stopped before Princess Lyra and bowed his head. He spoke in a clear voice, soft enough to blend with the music. "Princess Lyra," he said, "your eyes are beautiful." The hall fell silent. Even the dancers in the corner paused mid-step. Lyra's hand trembled slightly as she set her teacup down. Her violet eyes widened, and she felt a sudden flutter in her chest. No one moved or spoke. The only sound was the low hum of the lamps. Lyra's lips parted as if she would answer, but no words came out. She stared at Kai, unsure how to reply. Kai bowed his head again, feeling both relief and fear. He had broken the rules of court protocol by speaking so freely, but he could not take back his words. After a long moment, Lyra closed her eyes and let out a soft breath. Courtiers around them exchanged quick glances. Some looked startled, others smiled with surprise. The music began again, and servants moved forward to resume the service of fruit and tea. Kai stepped back to his place, his heart still racing. He did not know what would happen next, but he felt that a new kindness and honesty had entered the palace and into Lyra's heart. After Kai returned to his seat, the banquet hall hummed with soft conversation once more. But the tone had shifted. Courtiers leaned toward each other, their voices hushed. Simple teacups clicked on polished tables, but the laughter and ease of before were gone. Across from Kai, a tall Solari noble named Meros tapped his fingers on the table. His silver hair was pulled back in a neat braid, and his dark eyes narrowed. He whispered to the noble beside him, "A human should not speak so freely. It is not our way." The other noble, an older woman in green robes, shook her head. Yet his words showed courage. The princess did not strike him down. She offered a small, curious smile. Kai felt the weight of their stares. He kept his back straight, but his cheeks were warm. He wondered if he had made a mistake by speaking from his heart. The twin suns outside had dipped lower, and gentle shadows now lay across the crystal floor. Princess Lyra sat at the center of the hall, her violet eyes still fixed on Kai. But now those eyes held a flicker of uncertainty. She touched her pale blue robe at her shoulder as she listened to the soft music. Her heart beat too fast. A court official, Mistress Sita, rose quietly and cleared her throat. She spoke in a smooth voice that carried through the hall. "Your Highness, the foreign envoy has honored us with his bold words. Shall we continue with the next course?" Lyra recovered her calm tone. "Yes," she replied, her voice soft but steady. "Bring us the honeyed figs and the crystal wine." Servants glided forward, resuming their work. Yet the hall felt alive with unspoken questions. Some guests exchanged glances. Others sipped quietly. Only the music seemed unchanged, drifting like a slow river under high arches. Lyra's cheeks still felt warm. She looked at her glass sphere on the pedestal. Inside it, the floating lights paused as if they sensed her mood. She longed to speak to Kai again, but protocol bound her in place. Her mind raced between duty and a new, strange feeling she had never known. At last, Lyra stood and gave a small gesture with her hand. "I will take a moment in the garden," she announced, her voice firm. "Please excuse me." The hall fell silent again, but no one stopped her. Lyra rose, her robe trailing behind her. Kai watched her move, each step measured and graceful. When she reached the end of the table, she turned once, offering him a single nod before slipping out through tall doors of frosted glass. Kai's heart stirred. He wanted to follow her, but knew he must wait for her return. Around him, the nobles began to speak in low tones about the human's boldness and the princess's calm reply. Kai sensed that the simple act of honesty had changed more than just his own fate. Outside, Lyra entered the palace gardens. Moonlight bathed white petals on every tree. A soft breeze carried the scent of night jasmine. She walked toward a small marble bench by a reflecting pool. Kneeling by it, she touched the water's surface and remembered Kai's words. "Your eyes are beautiful," he had said. Lyra closed her violet eyes and let the cool air fill her senses. A new thought took root in her mind. Perhaps beyond protocol and ceremony, truth and kindness could shape the future of her people and the humans who came in peace. Kai stepped quietly into the palace garden. Moonlight shone on marble paths. Silver blossoms glowed under the stars. He had asked court permission to find Princess Lyra. Guards had nodded, then left him by a tall hedge. He walked slowly, searching for her pale robe. He saw Lyra seated on a marble bench by a reflecting pool. The water lay still like a mirror. She touched the surface with her finger and watched ripples spread. Her violet eyes held a thought so deep he felt he might break a rule by joining her, but he could not stay away. He bowed with respect. "Princess Lyra," he said softly, "thank you for meeting me." Lyra looked up. She closed her eyes for a moment, then opened them. "You broke the rules," she said, but her tone held neither anger nor scorn. "Why did you speak so freely before our court?" Kai knelt before her bench. "I have followed all rules of my people," he said, "but I also learned that sometimes honesty is the best way to show respect. I meant no harm. I only wished to speak the truth. Your eyes seemed too beautiful to keep silent." Lyra paused. A soft breeze stirred her hair. "On Solari we value order and ceremony," she said. "We do not share our hearts easily." She pointed at the pool. "Here, under the moon, there are no crowds to obey. You speak as if you know me as a person, not as a princess." Kai smiled. "I wish to know you, Lyra, not for your title, but for your mind and your heart. Our worlds are far apart, but maybe we can meet halfway." He spoke these words in simple truth. He felt his voice steady and strong in the night air. Lyra rose and stepped closer. She studied his face. "You are brave to stand before me like this," she said. "You have courage and kindness." She held out her hand. Kai rose and took it gently. Her skin was cool and smooth under the moonlight. They walked along the path, side by side. Kai asked about her world. How Solari grew cities of crystal, how her people learned peace after ages of war. Lyra asked about Earth, its blue oceans, its forests, its endless sky. Each answer built a small bridge between them. In the silence between their words, they felt a bond form. It was new, but strong. For the first time in her life, Lyra felt at ease, and Kai, who had crossed the stars to meet a stranger, felt he had found a friend. As the palace bells chimed late hour, Lyra turned to Kai with a gentle smile. "Thank you," she said. "Tonight, we both learned something new." Kai nodded. He knew their talk would echo far beyond the garden walls and might change the fate of two worlds. Before they parted, Lyra picked a silver blossom from a nearby bush and tucked it gently in Kai's hair. He laughed softly at the kind gesture, and Lyra's eyes lit with quiet joy. Under the peaceful night sky, they understood that honest words and simple kindness could shape a new future together. Late the next evening, soft moonlight still shone on the palace's crystal towers when an urgent alarm shattered the quiet. Kai stood in the main hall near Princess Lyra, listening to the deep hum of warning bells echo through the corridors. Lyra's violet eyes narrowed with concern as palace guards hurried past, their armor clinking as they ran toward the outer walls. A guard captain rushed up to them. "Saboteurs have breached the east gate," he said, voice tight. "We must protect the heart of the palace." Lyra rose without hesitation. "Show me the path," she told Kai. He nodded and offered his arm. Together, they followed the captain into twisting passages lit by flickering security lamps. As they ran, Kai saw scorch marks on the walls where energy blasts had struck. Lyra paused at a fallen guard, knelt to check his pulse, and gave a quick command to nearby soldiers. Even in danger, her calm command showed her strength. Kai admired how naturally she led her people. They reached the east gate chamber. Heavy crystal doors stood open, and outside, dark shapes moved in the courtyard. Armed saboteurs wore black cloaks and carried strange weapons that glowed red. Guards fought them in small groups, but the palace wall was large, and the attackers were many. Kai and Lyra slipped through a side door into a narrow corridor. "This way," whispered the captain, leading them toward the palace's security control center. "If we shut down their power source, the saboteurs will be forced back." They hurried on, hearing the clash of weapons behind them. Inside the control center, Kai found a panel of Earth-style switches and screens. He knelt and examined the circuits. Lyra stood guard, bow ready in her hand. "Can you do it?" she asked. Kai took a deep breath. "I can try." His training with human tech guided his hands. He flipped switches and rerouted power lines. The main screen flickered, then showed the palace perimeter doors sealing shut. Outside, a loud thud sounded as crystal gates slid into place. The saboteurs slammed against them, barred from entry. Guard cheers rose in the hallway beyond. Lyra smiled softly. "Well done," she said to Kai. He stood, brushing dust from his tunic. As the captain and additional guards entered, Lyra stepped forward. "We owe you both our thanks," she said firmly. The captain bowed to Kai, then to Lyra. "Your leadership united us," he added. Kai felt warmth in his chest. In one night, he had crossed 1,000 stars, spoken truth to a princess, and now fought alongside her to save her people. Under the soft glow of emergency lamps, Kai and Lyra shared a look of quiet triumph. They had faced danger together and found in each other a true ally. In that moment, the bond between human and Solari grew stronger, and the shadow of danger could not undo the friendship they had forged. The palace corridors were almost silent after the alarm. Guards stood watch at every corner, their armor catching the soft glow of restored lights. Kai followed Princess Lyra through winding halls toward the eastern turrets. Together, they would hunt down any remaining saboteurs before they could hide. Lyra led the way, her steps light but certain. Even in full armor, she moved with grace. Kai carried only a compact Earth scanner, a device to detect energy signatures. He trusted Lyra's instincts more than any machine. They reached a guard post near the turrets. A guard checked in and pointed to 3 dark doorways. "They could be behind any of these," he said. Lyra studied the options, then turned to Kai. "Which path do you choose?" she asked. Kai activated his scanner. A soft green beam pulsed across the floor. It hummed louder near the middle doorway. "There," he said. Lyra nodded and drew her bow. They slipped through the door into a small room filled with crates. Stones of pale crystal lay stacked on wooden shelves. The scanner's beam flickered over a loose plate in the floor. Lyra crouched and pressed it. A hidden hatch opened, revealing a narrow stairway. They climbed down into the cool stone beneath the palace. Torches lined the walls, their flames flickering in silent welcome. Whispers echoed from deeper below. Lyra raised a single finger to her lips, and Kai followed her lead. They stepped into a wide chamber where 3 saboteurs huddled around a flickering power core. The red glow from their weapons cast long shadows on the walls. One saboteur turned and raised a weapon. "Intruders," he snarled. Lyra sprang forward with the speed of a striking cat. Arrows flew from her bow, each shot precise. One arrow nicked a saboteur's shoulder, and he dropped his weapon. Kai rushed in while the others were distracted. He aimed the scanner's pulse at the power core controls, disrupting its energy field. The core's light dimmed suddenly. Sparks flew, and the chamber grew darker. Saboteurs cursed in their harsh language. Lyra, bow in hand, leaped to the control panel and pressed a glowing button. The power core shut down with a low hum. Without power, the saboteurs flinched. Kai seized his chance. He swept up a fallen torch and held it high. The dancers of flame showed him Lyra's determined face. Together, they advanced. "One more step," Kai whispered. The saboteurs blocked the only exit. Lyra stepped to his side and spoke in her calm voice. "Surrender and you may live." Her words carried the quiet authority of a leader. The saboteurs glanced at each other, then slowly lowered their weapons. Guards flooded down the stairway behind Kai and Lyra, ready to secure the prisoners. The saboteurs backed away, hands raised. Lyra straightened, her violet eyes shining. Kai placed a hand on the scanner and then nodded toward her. Guards moved in to take the saboteurs away, and the power core control panel dimmed to sleep. As the guards led the prisoners up the stairway, Lyra turned to Kai. "Your skills saved this place," she said softly. Kai shook his head. "We did this together." They walked back up into the palace corridors. The emergency lights have been replaced by the palace's gentle glow. In that shared victory, Kai and Lyra knew they could face whatever came next, side by side, as friends and allies. The palace was calm again under the light of twin suns. Guards stood at their posts, and court pages cleared the last signs of chaos from the halls. Kai walked beside Princess Lyra toward the central garden, where blooming flowers lifted their heads in warm sunlight. Both felt the quiet joy of a new day. Lyra paused by a fountain of clear water that sang as it fell. She looked at Kai with deep violet eyes that held both relief and something more. Kai remembered the first time he had seen those eyes, bright and full of wonder. "Thank you," Lyra said softly. The words came like a gentle breeze after a storm. She touched the water and let it run over her fingers. "You saved my palace and my people. But more than that, you spoke truth when you had every reason to stay silent." Kai bowed his head. "I did what any friend would do," he replied. "I spoke what I felt because I care about you and your world." Lyra studied his face. For a moment, the royal mask of duty slipped away, and she seemed simply a young woman among flowers and sunlight. She stepped closer and rested her hand on his arm. "I have heard many words in my life," she said, "but yours reached me in a way I cannot forget." Kai felt warmth in his heart. He straightened and looked into her eyes. "Then I have done what I came to do. I have shown you the human heart." Lyra smiled, and the violet depths of her eyes brightened. "Yes," she agreed. "You have shown me that true strength comes from honesty and kindness, not from power or ceremony." They walked along a curved path lined with silver-leafed bushes. Each step felt easy and natural. Kai asked Lyra about her hopes for peace between Solari and Earth. She spoke of shared knowledge and trade, of art and music that both worlds could enjoy together. Kai listened and offered ideas, picturing glass spheres of earth watered in Solari gardens and Solari crystal art in earth museums. As they spoke, Lyra stopped at a low archway of blooming vines. She picked a single pale blossom and offered it to Kai. "For your courage," she said. Kai accepted it and tucked it behind his ear. The simple gift held immense meaning. They stood there in silence, two souls from distant worlds joined by trust. Around them, the palace gardens bloomed in gentle colors. Birds sang from crystal branches overhead. At last, Lyra spoke again. "Come," she said, "let us return before the court wonders where we have gone." Kai nodded. They walked back together, each step a promise of new friendship and hope. Behind them, the palace rose in shining towers, a place where human and Solari might build a future side by side. And as Kai and Lyra re-entered its halls, they carried with them the memory of honest words spoken under moonlight, and the promise of many more to come. Back in the grand audience chamber, court members gathered as Princess Lyra and Kai re-entered. The soft music of stringed instruments welcomed them. Courtiers bowed low, their eyes showing a mix of curiosity and admiration. Lyra led Kai to a raised platform beside her throne, where she motioned for him to stand. Lyra faced her people with confidence. "Friends of Solari," she began, her voice calm and clear, "this human, Kai of Earth, has shown true courage and honesty. He spoke his heart and stood by us in our hour of need." She paused, letting her words settle. "For this, I grant him the respect of my court." A ripple of surprised murmurs passed through the hall. Humans were guests, not subjects, and few had ever received such honor. Kai felt his cheeks warm as Lyra's words echoed off crystal walls. A solemn guard stepped forward and offered Kai a simple silver circlet. Its design matched the royal crest, a single violet gem at its center. Lyra reached out and placed the circlet gently on Kai's brow. The gem caught the light of lanterns, reflecting shades of violet and blue. Kai bowed deeply, overwhelmed by the gesture. "Princess Lyra," he said quietly, "I accept this honor with gratitude. I only wish to serve as a bridge between our worlds." Lyra smiled, and her violet eyes shone with pride. "Then let us work together for peace," she said. "Let this circlet be a symbol of our new bond." Courtiers rose to their feet, applauding in polite respect. Even stern nobles like Meros nodded in approval. The older noblewoman in green clapped softly, tears of joy in her eyes. Kai realized that by speaking honestly, he had changed the hearts of many. Later, as the crowd dispersed, Kai and Lyra remained on the platform, talking in low voices. She asked about Earth's customs and challenges. He spoke of human hopes for friendship, and his words painted pictures of blue oceans and green forests. Lyra listened closely, absorbing every detail. As their private talk ended, Lyra stepped closer and looked at the silver circlet now resting on Kai's brow. "This gesture is rare," she said softly. "Few have earned such honor." Kai touched the gem with respect. "I earned it by speaking from my heart," he replied. "Your people saw my truth." Lyra nodded and placed a hand over her heart. "Then let our alliance be built on truth," she said. "May honesty guide our paths." Kai smiled, feeling the deep connection. "Together, we will show our worlds the power of true respect." They left the days side by side, princess and envoy united. In the corridors beyond, guards and pages bowed respectfully. The silver circlet glowed with promise, a new symbol of unity between Earth and Solari. As they walked toward the palace gardens once more, Kai felt hope. He knew challenges remained, but he also knew that honest words and shared courage could overcome them. And with Princess Lyra at his side, the future of two worlds shone brighter than ever before. Dawn broke over the Solari palace in soft hues of gold and rose. Twin suns rose slowly, touching every crystal spire with warm light. Kai stood on the balcony beside Princess Lyra, watching the world wake beneath them. Below, the palace grounds stirred with life. Citizens greeted one another in quiet joy. Children chased silver-winged birds across lawns of soft moss. Soldiers saluted passing diplomats. Everywhere, people moved with fresh hope. Lyra turned to Kai, her violet eyes bright in the morning glow. She wore a simple blue gown today, free of royal trim. "This day marks a new beginning," she said. "Our people will remember it." Kai nodded, feeling the weight and wonder of her words. He had dreamed of peace between Earth and Solari, but today that dream felt real. He reached into his tunic and pulled out a small, star-shaped pin, the emblem of Earth's unity. "I have something for you," he said, holding it out gently. "So you remember our bond." Lyra accepted the pin and fastened it to her gown near her heart. "Thank you," she replied. "This will be my most treasured gift." They stood together as the palace bells rang out across the city. The sound was clear and joyful, like laughter carried on the wind. Lyra raised her hand in a graceful wave. "People of Solari," she called, her voice carrying across the courtyard. "Today we welcome our new friends from Earth. Let our worlds grow together in trust and wonder." A cheer rose from below. Kai felt his chest swell with pride and joy. For the first time, he heard the voices of two peoples united in celebration. After the announcement, Kai and Lyra walked down the marble steps together. Citizens lined the paths, offering flowers and small gifts. Lyra accepted each with a nod and a warm smile. Kai shook hands with Solari artisans, diplomats, and scholars. Everywhere he went, he felt the honest friendship he had spoken of under moonlight. At the edge of the courtyard, a group of Earth scientists disembarked from a sleek shuttle. They carried crates of seeds and instruments for sharing knowledge. Lyra greeted them and invited them to the palace workshops. Kai showed them how to use his data pads, and the scientists beamed with excitement. As the day grew bright, a festival began in the gardens. Music filled the air. Earth drums and Solari harps blended in a new harmony. Dancers from both worlds moved in circles of color. Tables lined with dishes from Earth and Solari offered sweet fruits, spiced breads, and crystal pastries. Kai and Lyra found a quiet spot beneath a flowering tree. They watched the celebration side by side, their hands brushing now and then. In that simple touch, they shared all they had built together: trust, respect, and hope. Lyra turned to Kai and spoke softly. "You crossed the stars to speak your truth," she said. "In doing so, you changed my world." Kai smiled and touched her hand. "And you welcomed me with an open heart," he replied. "Together, we will shape our future." Above them, the twin suns shone at their highest. In the palace now humming with life, a human and an alien princess stood united. Their words, honest and kind, had joined two worlds, and with every step they took, the dawn of alliance grew ever brighter.